Exclusive on it.
Nice.
Yes. No, we had just walked in the door and then we were setting up, and then all of a sudden that happened. Yeah. Yes, correct. Yeah. No. It was we were setting up and he was walking the door and we were. Yeah. So, yeah, he expects fighter jets to come from the sky. That's what he said. Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Only the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Miller, just. Other than that, it would be us. Okay. Bye. Hey, man. He showed us, people asked what he wants to show you. About a handkerchief with the design of a fighter jet on it. And they asked him, where is he expecting to come from? He goes, from the sky. So, yeah. Okay. No, you said from the sky. All right. Good deal. Yeah, from the sky. Yeah. Okay, bye. I feel settled. Yeah, your phone got bigger. Your phone got bigger.
I know, right?
Not that.
When you coordinate my first life, you're freaking me out.
Congratulations.
I see her logo left.
No.
Huh? Well,
It's a
congratulations.
lot heavier as well.
No, big stop. For cheap.
The box is coming in 1 hour. It's so we're live.
Okay.
Ici, si vous mettez derrière les collègues ici, et vous faites passer le micro comme ça. Ah, c'est pour prendre des questions des journalistes. Ah, ok, non, on va faire comme ça. Non, attends, il faut faciliter le travail aussi.
Ça va? Cool. What? Je bois du café ici.
No.
Good job.
Not good?
Not there, because I'm going to knock it over.
This again.
Yeah, sure. I will put it there.
Oui.
Somebody's arriving.
No.
It's French.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Waiting.
8:45. Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
On the
Judging.
and ask the sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
Est-ce que la France est prête à livrer des chars des avions de combat?
მეტყვიან ვიცი და ეხლა ხან ისინი არ არიან ვიცი და რას ხან ისინი არ გამწაფას იმიტომ რომ მე არ გარბივარ იმიტომ რომ დამავალი
მინდა გავალ
მამა ვალებენ იმ დროს როდესაც ვეღარ ჩავალ და დამბრალდება არა ვერ გაუჩვენებ და ვარავინ არ მიდიოდეს ამათ უყურებ ზუსტად იმიტომ რომ მაგალითად ეს დროულად ვეკა
მაშინ პირდაპირ მიები მოსწავლეს და სადაც ეგენ წავლენ იქია
გიხოცები ბიჭი
აჩერებული ვარ გასკენა
Get some fresh air with us.
What's he saying? You said it was like a handkerchief or something.
Okay, got it. That's the right word to say. It sounds like my father.
And even John. Not only your father's, man. I used to use a handkerchief every now and then. Those are two little guys when I get to
Yeah, why you blow your nose in something and put it back in your pocket?
that.
I just don't know the right. There's a more modern way.
Does he pull it out of his thing?
Yeah, that's
Style. Yeah, there's a word for that. Look at them. It's pretty high tech.
It looks like it is a support. Yeah, it does look like a very good. Fighter jet.
Old.
No.
German. Yes, German.
Yeah. Yeah.
Prepared to be mobile.
Je pense qu'il a fait. J'ai fait son premier tournage. J'ai premier tournage pour j'ai expliqué comment ça fonctionnait, il faut mettre de l'humain.
Ma soeur.
Misschien een beetje meer hoor. Ja, dat was goed. Ja.
On va mettre un peu de temps. Bah oui, hein. C'est chiant. Trouvé.
Ouais.
Froid ici, très bien.
Ouais. Alors,
არა, ვაიმე, 50 ჩალიქი მოდიოდა ავტობუსით.
საიდან? ეს პროფეში იყო.
რაიმე გადავიდა 20 ლოკა და მას ამოვედი და შემოვედი. რა ვიცი. უკრაინა. შვენი აქ არის.
ვიში მეკონია.
ის იყო? ეს მეკონია. აი ბატონო მოვიყავი და ეს.
არა, ყველა მოვიდა რომ არ გაჩერდა.
მოვიდა ხო? არა, ერთი მეწინააღმდეგეც ხარ. სამოიღო. საკონდზე ფაილები აქვს. არა, ყველაფერი რა.
ნახაროხი და დროშას მისცა და გაუშენდა.
მე ფილმებზე პროგრამიტებს ამბობ.
კოკასთან რომ შემიძლია.
არა, ის არის რა.
კასო კოკასთან რომ შენაკეთე რომ იდგა გასასვლელში და აბა დაიხა.
27 დილარი მოხდა.
შემდეგში ჩაწერეს რა.
მითხარი, შენი კაცი აქ არის. ხო, ვიცი და ის ამერიკელი ჩამოვიდა უკვე და ჩვენი.
en tout cas, vous entendez normalement pas
Oui, s'il vous plaît, c'est mieux. Oui. Merci.
Good morning. The NATO defense ministers will meet at the critical time for our security. Next week we mark the first year of the terrible war in Ukraine, the full-fledged invasion by Russia against Ukraine. And we see no signs that President Putin is preparing for peace. What we see is the opposite. He is preparing for more war, for new offensives and new attacks. So it makes it just even more important that NATO allies and partners provide more support to Ukraine, and we will meet later on today in the US-led contact group for Ukraine and address the urgent needs for increased support to Ukraine. Not least the need to provide more ammunition and also how to ramp up production and strengthen our defense industry to be able to provide the necessary ammunition to Ukraine and also to replenish our own stocks. We will also, at the defense ministerial meeting, agree new long-term guidelines for our defense planning to further strengthen our deterrence and defense, something which is extremely important in a world which is more competitive and more dangerous, and when there's a full-fledged war going on in Europe. Allies will also start to discuss the new defense investment pledge, how to ensure that we continue to invest more in defense, and also address the protection of critical infrastructure, in particular undersea infrastructure, offshore infrastructure, because we have seen that these undersea cables, pipelines are vulnerable, and it's important that we coordinate more our efforts to protect critical infrastructure. We are all horrified by the terrible toll caused by the earthquakes in Turkey. NATO allies are providing substantial support to Turkey. This support needs to continue, and we need to stand in solidarity and sustain our support to Turkey. Then I'm ready to take your questions.
Associated Press. Secretary General Lorne Cook from Associated Press. Over the last year, NATO's gone from providing non-lethal assistance to allies to providing artillery to tanks. Now we're talking about jet aircraft. The Ukraine Contact Group is meeting in NATO headquarters. Why should the public believe that NATO is not at war with Russia?
Neither NATO nor NATO allies are party to the conflict. What we do as NATO allies and NATO is to provide support to Ukraine. Ukraine is defending itself. We need to understand what this is. This is a war or aggression. President Putin, Russia has attacked a sovereign, independent, democratic, free nation in Europe, Ukraine, and of course Ukraine has the right to defend itself. The right of self-defense is enshrined in the UN Charter. It's a part of international law, and of course we have the right to help Ukraine uphold their right for self-defense. So NATO and NATO allies are not party to the conflict, but we support Ukraine in the right of self-defense. Then, of course, the type of support we provide to Ukraine has evolved as the war has evolved. In the beginning, it was extremely important to provide light anti-tank weapons like the javelins. Then we saw the need for artillery, and NATO allies provided more and more advanced artillery systems. Then it became obvious that it was an urgent need for also more advanced air defense systems, and NATO allies are now providing Patriots, SAM-T and other advanced air defense systems, NASAMS. And now, over the last weeks and months, allies have also agreed to further step up significantly when it comes to heavy weaponry, armor, infantry fighting vehicles, but also main battle tanks. So yes, the type of support has evolved, and that's part of the ongoing consultations among allies within NATO, within the Ukraine support group, and it will continue, because we need to ensure that Ukraine gets the weapons it needs to be able to retake territory, liberate the lands, and win this war and prevail as a sovereign independent nation. Let me just add 2 more things on the issue of weapons. One is that it is important to discuss systems, what types of platforms we should provide to Ukraine, and it has evolved. But it's also extremely important to ensure that all the systems that are already delivered work as they should. So meaning that, for instance, when it comes to artillery, we need ammunition, we need spare parts, we need maintenance, we need all the logistics to ensure that we are able to sustain these weapon systems. So it's not only about discussing new systems, but ensuring that all the existing systems are working as they should. This has become a grinding war of attrition, and therefore it's also a battle of logistics, and this is a huge effort by allies to actually be able to get in the ammunition, the fuel, the spare parts, which are needed. The other thing I would say is that the war didn't start in February last year. The war started in 2014, and since 2014, NATO allies have provided support to Ukraine with training, with equipment, so the Ukrainian armed forces were much stronger in 2022 than they were in 2014, and of course that made a huge difference when President Putin decided to attack Ukraine.
We'll take 2 questions over there. ARD.
A question on the fighter jets. After the EU Council last week, the Polish Prime Minister Morawiecki said that from his perspective it would need a unanimous decision by NATO whether in principle fighter jets could be delivered. Are you preparing any kind of decision like this? Thank you.
As the urgent need now is to deliver what has already been promised, to deliver the armored vehicles, the infantry fighting vehicles, the German Marders, the US Bradleys, and of course also the main battle tanks, the Leopards, and the other battle tanks that have been pledged, and we see that allies are stepping up. We need the training, we need the equipment, we need the ammunition, and that's exactly what allies are now providing, and will be a top issue at the meetings today here at NATO. And also to ensure that we have the ammunition and all the other things we need to all the other systems which are already delivered. So the issue of aircraft is not the most urgent issue now, but it is an ongoing discussion, and as I've said before, we have ongoing consultations among allies on the type of systems allies should deliver to Ukraine, and that will continue. And we have evolved the type of support we are providing to Ukraine has changed and evolved over the time, and it will continue to change and evolve as this war develops.
Sergey, you yesterday mentioned already that ministers also will discuss how to improve support, practical support to partner countries like Georgia, Moldova, Bosnia-Herzegovina. Should we expect some decisions today, and how also going implementation process regarding tailor-made package for Georgia?
I think that one of the lessons we have learned already from the war in Ukraine is the importance of provide support to partners sooner than later. As it was important to support Ukraine before the invasion, it is also important to support other partners which are vulnerable for Russian interventions. And therefore allies have agreed to step up our partnership, strengthen our partnership with partners like, for instance, Georgia, and we are now working on how to step up support related to cyber crisis management and secure communications. So yes, tailored partnership, tailored support is part of what we do with partners like Georgia.
We'll go over here, London media.
Yes, Tony Vilhelm in Finland. If Turkey wants to ratify Finland before Sweden, would that be acceptable for NATO, and what would be the consequences?
So first of all, I think you need to understand the historic dimension of what NATO allies have already decided. All allies made an historic decision at the NATO summit in July last year to invite Finland and Sweden to become full members of the alliance. Then all allies, all 30 allies, signed the accession protocols of Finland and Sweden, and so far 28 out of 30 allies have already ratified. So this has been the quickest ratification or accession process in NATO's modern history. And as invitees, which is now the status that Finland and Sweden have as invited members, Finland and Sweden are more and more integrating into NATO's military and civilian structures. Finland and Sweden sit at the NATO table, participate in our meetings and in our consultations. So Finland and Sweden are in a very different place now than before they applied. They are in a much better place. They have bilateral security assurances from many allies. They are integrating into NATO, and NATO has increased its presence in the region. So already both Finland and Sweden are much closer and much more integrated to NATO. So the main question is not whether Finland and Sweden are ratified together. The main question is that they are both ratified as full members as soon as possible. And I'm confident that both will be full members, and I'm working hard to get both ratified as soon as possible.
The Secretary General, we understand that sending fighter jets to Ukraine is a long-term investment, but the first steps could already be taken. For example, the United Kingdom has already launched a training program for Ukrainian pilots. So, do you think that NATO can collectively take the first step and agree training Ukrainian pilots today?
Well, you're right that some allies, the United Kingdom has started training of pilots, and allies are now consulting, and there is a conversation ongoing between allies on also the issue of aircraft delivery to Ukraine. But as I said, our top priority, the urgent need now, is to ensure the heavy weaponry, the modern air defense systems, the ammunition, all the other things we need to ensure that Ukraine gets the advanced and modern systems which are already been pledged, and that can really make a difference on the battlefield.
Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you.
Ja, schönen guten Morgen, meine sehr geehrten Damen und Herren. Das zweite Rammstein-Treffen innerhalb kürzester Zeit, von 10 Tagen. Wir gehen in das zweite Jahr der offenen Aggression Russlands gegen die Ukraine. Ein furchtbarer Krieg mit vielen, vielen Opfern und viel Leid. Ich habe mir selbst ein kurzes Bild machen können, als ich letzte Woche in Kiew war. Ich habe Gespräche geführt, wie Sie wissen, mit Präsident Zelensky, mit meinem Kollegen Alexei Resnikow, und habe mit Soldaten gesprochen, die inzwischen in Deutschland sind und ausgebildet werden am Leopard 2A6 in Munster. Und meine Begegnung dort, die Gespräche, die ich geführt habe, die haben mich in der Tat sehr berührt und bestärkt darin, dass Deutschland an der Seite der Partner weiter alles tun wird, um die Ukraine in diesem Kampf zu unterstützen, kontinuierlich, lageangepasst und zuverlässig, so wie in den vergangenen 12 Monaten auch. Und ich will es noch mal betonen, Deutschland steht in der Europäischen Union an der Spitze der Unterstützer und zwar mit deutlichem Abstand. Darauf sind wir stolz, weil wir glauben, das ist richtig und notwendig, und nach den USA sind wir mit Großbritannien gleich auf. Wir reden gerade wieder viel über Lieferungen der verschiedenen Systeme. Ich will noch mal unterstreichen einen Aspekt, der in der öffentlichen Debatte oder zwei geraumer Zeit zu kurz kommen. Und das ist zum einen die jetzt aktuell aufkommende Diskussion um die Frage der Nachlieferung von Munition, ein Thema, das General Milley bereits im Herbst letzten Jahres als die Herausforderung schlechthin für die nächsten 6 Monate beschrieben hat. Das hat zunächst nicht Widerhall gefunden. Alle haben nur in Anführungsstrichen über Panzer gesprochen. Jetzt kriegt dieses Thema Fahrt, und das ist richtig und notwendig und hoffentlich nicht zu spät, denn es geht um Luftverteidigung und die Ersatzlieferung von Munition und Lenkflugkörpern für die Systeme zur Luftverteidigung der ukrainischen Armee. Denn das ist jetzt die große Herausforderung in den nächsten Monaten, um eben den Luftraum nicht an die russische Luftwaffe zu verlieren und die Bombardierungen und Angriffe auf kritische Infrastruktur womöglich noch erschwert hinnehmen zu müssen. Darüber sind wir in Gesprächen mit der Rüstungsindustrie. Das gilt für alle Munitionsarten, das gilt aber vor allen Dingen, wie gesagt, für die Flugabwehr. Und ich kann Ihnen heute Morgen gewissermaßen ganz druckfrisch mitteilen, dass die Verträge unterschrieben sind mit den Herstellern der Munition für den Gepard in Deutschland. Das heißt, wir werden jetzt unverzüglich wieder eigene Produktion aufnehmen bei Rheinmetall für Gepard-Munition. Die wird unverzüglich anlaufen. Ich bin sehr froh darüber, dass das gelungen ist, weil das die Unabhängigkeit und die schnellere Belieferung noch einmal besser sicherstellt. Das ist gerade für die Flugabwehr durch den Gepard in der Ukraine von zentraler Bedeutung, weil so alt wie er ist, er leistet herausragende Dienste, gerade bei der Drohnenabwehr, und wird von den ukrainischen Soldatinnen und Soldaten, mit denen ich dort auch am Gepard habe sprechen können, überaus geschätzt. Und deswegen ist diese Nachricht eine gute für alle Beteiligten. Der zweite Punkt, der in der Debatte kaum stattfindet, der aber von zentraler Bedeutung ist, ist die Ausbildung. Allein Deutschland hat bis heute schon 1200 Soldatinnen und Soldaten der Ukraine speziell ausgebildet an Waffensystemen, ob das Mars ist, ob das Patriot ist, ob das Marder und jetzt Leopard sind, an der Panzerhaubitze, das ist oder Iris-T, das ist von zentraler Bedeutung. Ausbildung, Waffen ohne Ausbildung helfen niemandem. Und genauso gehört dazu die Ausbildung von Feldwebel. Feldwebel sind das Rückgrat jeder Armee, sind im Grunde genommen die Seele der Führungsfähigkeiten einer Armee. Und deswegen ist gerade die Ausbildung von Feldwebeln zu Feldwebeln von zentraler Bedeutung, und auch da sind wir ganz weit vorne. Also Ausbildung und Lieferung müssen Hand in Hand gehen, nur dann erzielt beides auch Wirkung. Wir erleben heute, dass die Offensive der Russen zunehmen. Russland will die Initiative zurückgewinnen im Donbass. Darauf reagieren wir mit unserem Fähigkeitspaket gepanzerte Kräfte. Ich will das nicht in aller Ausführlichkeit ausführen. Es gehört aber weiter dazu, die Luftverteidigung zu stärken, und das Frühlingspaket ist auf dem Weg, genauso wie der Instandsetzungshub in der Slowakei seine Arbeit aufgenommen hat. Ich will noch mal zum Schluss ein Wort zur Türkei sagen. Wir haben inzwischen an die 40.000 Todesopfer, was eine furchtbare, eine geradezu unvorstellbare Zahl ist für eine Naturkatastrophe, wie wir sie dort erleben. Ich habe vergangene Woche telefoniert mit meinem türkischen Amtskollegen Akar und habe meine Bestürzung zum Ausdruck gebracht und vor allen Dingen auch zum Ausdruck gebracht, dass Deutschland hier in jeder Form helfen wird. Ich will es kurz beschreiben. Wir haben inzwischen 14 Flüge mit der A400M durchgeführt, fast 130 Tonnen Hilfsgüter transportiert, und heute und morgen werden weitere 6 Flüge mit dieser Maschine folgen, sodass insgesamt über 180 Tonnen Hilfsgüter von Wunsdorf aus in die Türkei geflogen worden sind. Ich hoffe sehr, dass die Zahl der Opfer jetzt nicht weiter steigt und dass die Hilfsgüter und die internationalen Organisationen hier alles tun können, erfolgreich die Folgen zu lindern. Soweit von mir.
Herr Minister, eine Frage ist ja trotzdem die Frage nach Transparenz. Auch wenn Sie nicht diskutieren müssen, so wird denn diskutiert werden. Was ist Ihre Antwort an den Ressenkow, wenn er heute antwortet und sagt, ich bringe mit der Kampfmittel?
Ich teile Ihre Auffassung nicht, dass diese Frage hier heute im Mittelpunkt stehen wird. Ressenkow wird sie ansprechen. Zelensky hat sie letzte Woche in meinem Gespräch nicht angesprochen. Ich glaube, dass alle verstanden haben, dass die Frage der Luftverteidigung und die Frage der Munitionsnachbeschaffung viel wichtiger sind im Augenblick als die Diskussion über Kampfjets bei denen alle wissen, dass die Ausbildung allein zum Fliegen schon mehrere Monate dauert, geschweige denn die Vermittlung der Fähigkeiten, die es braucht, um die Waffensysteme dann auch zum Einsatz zu bringen. Also wir sollten uns auf das fokussieren, was jetzt im Mittelpunkt steht, gerade im Angesichts einer offenbar stattfindenden russischen Offensive.
Herr Minister, wenn Deutschland selber nicht Kampfpanzer momentan zusammen haben in der Kampfpanzerkoalition?
Wir sind bei 14 Panzern Leopard 2 A6 aus Deutschland. Ich habe meine Gespräche mit der portugiesischen Kollegin haben jetzt dazu geführt, dass Portugal ebenfalls 3 A6, für eine kleine NATO-Nation wie Portugal ist das ein angemessener Beitrag, 3 Panzer A6 aus Portugal. Weitere A6 sind im Augenblick nicht im Gespräch und bei den A4ern ist ja der polnische Kollege vor allen Dingen unterwegs und den aktuellen Stand müssten wir ihn dann fragen. Ja, auch da sieht es nicht ganz so berauschend aus, um es vorsichtig zu formulieren, insbesondere auch wohl möglicherweise was den Zustand und die Einsatzfähigkeit der Panzer angeht. Wichtig ist auch da übrigens, geht es nicht nur um die Lieferung oder die Frage, wie viele Panzer welchen Typs werden geliefert, sondern auch, wie wird sichergestellt, dass Munition und Ersatzteile da sind. Das kann nicht die Bundesrepublik Deutschland sicherstellen, das können nur die Rüstungskonzerne.
Ihre Vorgängerin hatte der Ukraine 2 weitere Iris-T-Systeme in Aussicht gestellt. Wann werden diese voraussichtlich?
Meines Wissens im Laufe der nächsten Monate, das hängt aber auch von den Lieferfähigkeiten der Rüstungsindustrie ab.
Verständnis haben Sie dafür, dass Länder vor 2 Wochen so wahnsinnig Druck gemacht haben, Leopard zu liefern und jetzt irgendwie Probleme haben, zu liefern? Die eine Frage und die andere, Sie haben gesagt, Deutschland wird jetzt bei den Kampfmitteln nicht dabei. Würden Sie aber den anderen Ländern, wie Slowakei oder Polen, abraten, die zu liefern?
Ich habe denen nicht zu raten, um das deutlich zu sagen. Es ist eine Frage der Fähigkeiten, die vermittelt werden können und um die es geht und die jetzt gefordert sind. Wer immer was liefert, muss das mit der Ukraine abstimmen und muss vor allen Dingen auch sicherstellen, dass es den gewünschten Nutzen hat und nicht nur, wie soll ich sagen, eine optische Wirkung erzielt. Und zur ersten Frage, da ich mich ja hier auf diplomatischem Parkett bewege, würde ich sagen, wenig. Wenig Verständnis.
Eine Frage noch zur Munition, wenn ich darf. Sie sagten, dass Libyen bereits vor Monaten gewarnt hat, die Munition wieder ausgeht. Warum erst reagieren die NATO-Staaten immer erst nach Monaten von der Verhandlung? Sie haben mal gesagt, dass im Programmplan man nicht vor die Lage kommt. Wann kommen die NATO und wann kommt die Kontakte vor die Lage?
Das ist eine gute Frage, die ich aber nicht beantworten kann, da ich erst seit etwas mehr als 3 Wochen im Amt bin. Ich bemühe mich nach Kräften und die anderen glaube ich auch, vor die Lage zu kommen. Das ist nicht immer ganz einfach, zumal die Interessenlagen auch nicht alle identisch sind und auch die Fähigkeiten nicht so, wie man bisweilen den Eindruck hat. Ich verweise auf Ihre Frage. Von daher würde ich sagen, wir tun alles. Und ja, ich hätte mir gewünscht, dass das früher passiert wäre, weil das die eigentlich zentralen Fragen sind. Aber die Öffentlichkeit diskutiert im Zweifel eben auch lieber über Panzer und über die Frage, wie viele Stückzahlen haben wir denn und was macht das denn und Kampfflugzeuge, ist alles leichter zu verstehen und auch besser aufzunehmen als die langweilige Frage nach Munitionsstückzahlen.
Nochmal zu den Munitionsstückzahlen. Sehen Sie in den nächsten Wochen, also wenn Sie selber sagen,
darüber sind die Experten sich nicht ganz einig, aber wir reden nicht über Wochen, sondern eher über Monate. Aber das bewegt sich irgendwo dazwischen. Und deswegen ist jetzt entscheidend, dass wir Fahrt aufnehmen. Unsere Unterzeichnung des Vertrages zur Gepard-Munition ist ein erster wichtiger Schritt. Die Rüstungsindustrie kann ich nur herzlich bitten, schnellstmöglich jetzt alle Kapazitäten maximal hochzufahren. Denn das werden die entscheidenden Fragen für die nächsten Wochen und Monate sein.
Eine Frage noch, können Sie ein bisschen, wenn Sie es können, uns überblicken, was erwarten Sie, was insgesamt
Da würde ich jetzt getreu dem Prinzip, dass das Erwartungsmanagement auch stimmen muss, mich eher zurückhalten. Das heißt nicht, dass ich wenig erwarte, aber ich kann es einfach nicht antizipieren. Ich bin gespannt auf die Gespräche und bin zuversichtlich, dass wir einiges auf die Reihe kriegen, sowohl für die Ukraine als auch für unser Thema der Deterrence und Defense für die nächsten Jahre der NATO, denn das darf bei all dem nicht ins Hintertreffen geraten. Wir haben eine Verantwortung angesichts der neuen Lage, beides miteinander in Einklang zu bringen. Die optimale Unterstützung der Ukraine einerseits und die Verteidigungsbündnis- und Landesverteidigungsfähigkeit der NATO andererseits.
Dass die Gepard-Munition jetzt selber produzieren, hat das damit zu tun, dass die Schweiz nach wie vor nicht bereit ist, dass die Munition auf der Schweiz über Deutschland auf die Ukraine geliefert wird?
Ich will es mal so sagen, die Verhandlungen mit der Schweiz haben Zeit beansprucht und wir waren am Ende der Auffassung, dass es besser ist, den eigenen Weg schneller zu begehen, um darauf nicht angewiesen zu sein.
Noch Meine Frage, Sie sagten eingangs, wir stehen ja jetzt für den ersten Jahrestag des russischen Angriffs. Wie schätzen Sie die Lage militärisch ein? Ist ein Sieg der Ukraine, von der die Ukraine redet, realistisch in Kürze? Und sehen Sie weiter das Risiko einer Eskalation?
Jede militärische Auseinandersetzung, jeder Angriffskrieg auf einen souveränen Staat hat immer das Risiko in sich einer Eskalation. Deswegen ist es so wichtig, dass die Partner hier, also der UDCG, aber alle anderen Unterstützer auch, dass das immer nach dem Prinzip verfährt, das Nötige tun und im Auge behalten, welche Risiken damit verbunden sind. Wir reden hier nicht über einen Überbietungswettbewerb. Ich teile die Auffassung des Bundeskanzlers dazu ausdrücklich. Gerade wegen einer möglichen Eskalationsgefahr muss jeder Schritt abgewogen und abgestimmt geschehen. Und was die militärische Lage in der Ukraine angeht, bin ich zurückhaltend. Ich glaube, es wird kein kurzfristiges Ende des Krieges geben, um es mal so zu formulieren. Und einen kurzfristigen Sieger sehe ich auch nicht. Deswegen ist es so wichtig, dass wir nicht nachlassen, die richtigen Akzente bei der Unterstützung der Ukraine zu setzen.
Würden Sie bei den Kampfflugzeugen, bei den Kampfpanzern wurde unterschieden zwischen den, sag ich mal, sowjetischer Bauart, die relativ schnell geliefert wurden, und dann im westlichen gab es eine längere Diskussion. Würden Sie diese Unterteilung bei den Kampfflugzeugen auch machen? Also ist eine MiG was anderes als ein Rafale?
Also erstens ist das was anderes. Ich bin mir aber nicht sicher, wie relevant diese Diskussion ist, auch angesichts der gleichen Frage, die wir bei den anderen Waffensystemen haben, nämlich was ist mit Nachlieferfähigkeit von Munition und Ersatzteilen. Und natürlich kann man im Zweifel auf einer MiG schneller schulen, aber wie viele MiGs es tatsächlich noch gibt und von woher sie kommen und welche Kampffähigkeit sie tatsächlich im Luftkampf hätten, darüber müssen die Experten sich Gedanken machen.
Herr Minister, noch ganz kurz zum Thema Dosis von Wasser.
Ja.
Können Sie noch mal sagen, ganz genau, was aus deutscher Sicht die NATO dort leisten kann und leisten soll?
Also die NATO ist hier nicht Hauptplayer, aber ich bin Jens Stoltenberg sehr dankbar für seine Initiative und seinen Vorstoß und auch die Übernahme der Federführung. Entscheidend ist, dass wir hier als NATO, insbesondere als die Anliegerstaaten, als die Anrainerstaaten, alles tun, was wir technisch und maritim können, um diese Allianz gewissermaßen zum Schutz der kritischen Unterwasserinfrastruktur dann auch zu gewährleisten. Und das können wir am besten gemeinsam mit der NATO, aber unter Berücksichtigung von internationalem Recht und Handel.
Vielen Dank.
Okay, vielen Dank.
Good morning.
Is Finland ready to send Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine?
Yeah, thank you for the question. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. This is second time for Finland and Sweden as well to be as an invitee member in this NATO Defense Minister meeting. And today we are discussing also about how to support Ukraine. We have this Ukraine Defense Contact Group meeting, and Finland is of course participating in that meeting with 40 other ministers. And yes, we are also participating in that cooperation what becomes to the Leopard tanks. But we are the frontline state. Finland is the frontline state, so the amount of the tanks cannot be that many.
Do you have a more concrete number? How many could you imagine to send?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a security issue for Finland as well. So we don't tell in public how many and what kind of support we will have in that cooperation and that coalition. But there are many ways to be in. There is training, there is spare parts, and logistics, and so on. But Finland is part of that.
And when is the Leopard 2 coalition ready, actually? Because we have discussions now since 2 weeks ongoing, and so far not much has happened.
This is what we are discussing in these 2 days as well. So maybe we are smarter after these 2 days.
Can you say, Minister, that speed is of essence right now?
Excuse me?
Can you say that it's important that speed is crucial right now? It's important to speed up when it comes to the delivery of tanks and other more advanced weapons?
It's important to support Ukraine in the most effective way, and from the Finnish perspective, I have to say that we have supported. We have been giving 12 packages already, and amount of those packages is almost 600 million euros, and for the size of Finland, it's more than 107 euros per capita. So we have been supporting Ukraine, and we will continue, and we need to continue that as well. And now we are preparing our 13th package in Finland.
Ministeri Savola, saatiin kysymyksen suomeksi.
Kyllä.
Tuossa Naton pääsihteeri Stoltenberg totesi, että ei ole tärkeää, että Suomi ja Ruotsi menevät yhdessä NATOon, vaan on tärkeää, että molemmista maista tulee Naton jäsen. Tarkoittaako tämä nyt väliaikaista NATO-jäsenyyttä Suomelle?
On tärkeää, että Suomi ja Ruotsi molemmat NATOon liittyvät ja tietysti meidän ensisijainen tavoite on se, että me yhdessä ja yhtä aikaa sinne pääsisimme, mutta tämä ei ole pelkästään tietysti Suomen kysymys, tässä on monia liikkuvia tekijöitä, tämä on myöskin Naton kysymys ja pääasia on, että me molemmat ollaan siellä sitten Vilnan kokoukseen mennessä.
Voiko tästä nyt tulkita kuitenkin se, että Natolle sopii se, että Suomi ja Ruotsi tulevat jäseniksi eri aikaan, eikä tätä niputeta tätä jäsenyyttä?
No en tiedä tarkkaan mitä Stoltenberg on äsken tässä tiedotustilaisuudessa sanonut, mutta tärkeintä on se, että molemmat sekä Suomi ja Ruotsi siellä Natossa on. Se on Naton puolustussuunnittelun kannalta tärkeä, se on meidän Suomen turvallisuuden kannalta tärkeä, Ruotsin kannalta tärkeä ja tämä käsi kädessä on se meidän lähtökohtamme NATOon liittymisessä Ruotsin kanssa, mutta se nähdään, onko tässä aikataulutuksessa nyt sitten eroja.
Onko nyt tullut jotain aikataulukysymyksiä esimerkiksi tämän Turkin maanjäristyksen suhteen, että kun on toivottu, että tässä kevään aikana jo mahdollisesti Turkki ratkaisee tämän jäsenyyden, niin onko teillä nyt tuoretta tietoa tästä?
Tästä ei ole nyt uutta kommentoitavaa.
Minister, you're still waiting on your membership application moving forward. Are you getting frustrated at this stage?
No, we are not frustrated. We need to understand that only half a year and 28 countries out of 30 has already ratified Finland and Sweden to NATO. So we are waiting those two countries, Hungary and Turkey, and hopefully they will make their decisions soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Minister needs to continue. Thank you.
Minister Ollongren.
Morning. So we are gathered here again as the UCG, the Ramstein Group, to speak about our support to Ukraine. I think you see that the fighting is intensifying, and that means that our support for Ukraine also has to intensify. And we feel that time is now of the essence. And therefore it's a very good thing that we're now again coordinating our efforts. You know that the Netherlands has already committed more than 1 billion euros in military aid to Ukraine. We've made a budget reservation for this year for 2.5 billion. So we are thinking ahead, we are planning ahead. It is about, of course, about weapons, but it's also about spare parts. It's about ammunition. It's about training, very important. The training that we do together with our partners. And everything to make sure that Ukraine can continue to resist the Russian aggression. Because the atrocities are going on, the air attacks are going on, and we know at the fronts that the capacity building of the Russians has now turned into an intensified fight. So vital important to speed up our efforts.
Apparently the Netherlands have received a request to send F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. Has there been already progress made on this request? Will the Netherlands send them to Ukraine?
Well, we have very intense contacts with the Ukrainian armed forces. I talked to my colleague Alexei Resnikov this morning, and we always take the request from Ukraine very seriously. And it is true that they have also requested F-16s, and it is also something that we take very seriously. Of course, this is a complex weapon system. And we have to debate this with our partners, also with the United States, and we have to think about feasibility. And it is something that will take time. And it is best done behind closed doors to see what is possible, what is not possible, what the consequences would be, how you could start such an operation. So that is where we are at this stage. And Ukraine is very aware of the fact that this is something that will take time. And in this way you cannot compare it to, for instance, the main battle tanks that are now being delivered to Ukraine for the fight in the coming months.
Minister, are you going to deliver Moroccan tanks
I know that Netherlands was participating in financing the package of 20 of renovation of 20 Moroccan T-72 tanks. Do you think there is a chance to transfer another packages of Moroccan tanks to Ukraine?
Well, I don't want to talk about the origins of these tanks, but we have, together with the Czech Republic and the United States, provided T-72s who are being refurbished in the Czech Republic. The second thing is that we now, with Denmark and Germany, are paying for the Leopard 1s. So they are also acquired from industry, being refurbished and being made available for Ukraine as soon as possible, where we know that at least 100 of these Leo 1s can be delivered to Ukraine, and maybe more. We're still working on that. And then, of course, aside from that, there is the tank coalition for the main battle tanks, the more modern ones like the Challenger, the Leo 2, and the Abrams. And there we have very intense cooperation, also because it's not only about the main battle tanks, it's also about the training, the ammunition, and everything you have to arrange around that.
But are you ready to buy the Euro tanks that you're leased today and send them to Ukraine, which was suggested by Rutte at some point?
No, I think to be perfectly clear on that, so the Netherlands is in this tank coalition, but we don't have tanks, we don't own tanks, but we have a very integrated cooperation with Germany, and in that cooperation we use German tanks, and we are very happy that Germany has decided to provide German tanks, Leo 2s, to Ukraine, and we support every decision that Germany takes on this issue, but it's up to Germany to decide which tanks they will use to send to Ukraine.
Minister, Ukraine says that fighter jets, if they will be sent, they could change the course of the war, and they are really important for them. Do you share this assessment?
Well, I think we share the assessment that this war could take a long time. And in that time, the Ukraine armed forces have to transition, because they were using a lot of Russian capabilities, like the tanks, but also the MiGs. And they have to transition to European, American, and other capabilities. And in that transition, I completely understand that they also want to transition in their air defense and also with the fighter jets. I think that has to be part of the consideration that we're going through now.
And the Dutch, how is the Dutch perspective on an escalation to deliver fighter jets?
I think that every escalation that we see in this war is escalation by the Russians. They started the war, they started the mobilization, they started the air attacks of the whole country, and they are intensifying the fighting at the fronts as we speak. That is the escalation that I see. What we are doing is supporting Ukraine for whatever they need really to defend themselves against this aggression. And we have done that in different phases as the war has developed. We have also developed the assistance provided. In everything, from the training to very heavy fighting capabilities like main battle tanks, but also earlier the Panzerhowitzers, for instance, that the Netherlands provided together with Germany. So I think in itself a weapon system does not mean escalation, it means a response to an escalation from the other side.
What is your reading? There was a lot of pressure on Germany to deliver the Leopard tanks, especially from Poland, for instance, but now Germany is
no, but I think that Germany is taking the lead in this tank coalition. I think that is very significant. I think Boris Pistorius is convening this group quite often to make sure that all countries that can contribute also actually contribute. And we are all very aware of the fact that Ukraine needs those tanks as soon as possible. Therefore, I'm also glad that the training has actually started. And that we have this group of countries where everybody is trying to add something to make sure that Ukraine gets as much as possible, as many tanks as possible, and as many spare parts and ammunition as possible. No, but let me say, I'm not going to comment on individual countries, but I see as a group of countries, I think we're making every effort to make sure that the tanks are being delivered. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.
Good morning. I would like to start with that we have 2 important days ahead of us.
course, our condolences go to people of Turkey. And of course, our minds are always with Ukraine. And a good friend of mine, Alexei, is still here, and I'm very glad to see him here. And we will have very fruitful discussions for sure. I would like to highlight a couple of things. First, of course, our goal has to be that we will increase our defense spending. Estonia will do a lot, so we will have our defense expenditure this year to 2.8%, even a bit more. Next year, 3.2%. So definitely, we would like to see that all the other NATO member states will also increase their defense spending. Secondly, regarding the European Union, as we have also today the meeting with European Union representatives, then we would like to see that we will go to the joint acquisition of ammunition. We would like to see that we will buy together in European Union at least 1 million rounds for Ukraine. This is very important to keep them healthy and then keep them up with fighting. And third topic I would like to raise is that we try to help Ukraine with approximately 100 billion this year altogether. This should be our aim, because at the moment it's less. But when we take Estonia's share, then this is only 1/5 from our GDP, because Estonia has helped approximately 400 millions, which is 1.1% of our GDP. When we take all the Ukraine contact group countries, European Union, United States, UK, Australia, Canada, all the others, then our common GDP is approximately 50 trillions, maybe even more. And when we take 1% of that, this could be 500 billions. So we are talking about even 1/5 of that what Estonia has already done. So we try to push all the other countries to increase also our help to Ukraine, to increase it to at least 100 billion this year. So when you have a couple of questions, I'm ready to.
Why do you believe that fighter jets are necessary for Ukraine?
Any kind of help is necessary for Ukraine, because Ukraine has to win this war. So we had many questions: should we send tanks? Now this decision is made. So we had, prior to that, many questions how many ammunition we could send. So always there has been a question before and then the answer after that. So, and we know that Ukraine needs any kind of help, and that means also the jet fighters.
Are you seeing a risk that those fighter jets will be used to attack Russian tanks?
No, I don't see that, because my good colleague Alexei has said many times that they will not go to Russian territory.
I'm disappointed that it's now like basically 2 weeks that there has been formed this coalition of Leopard 2 tanks, and so far there haven't been any deliveries, no firm commitments by NATO allies except Germany.
Any equipment, any asset you will give to Ukraine, what they have not used before, there has to be a training. So this is why we need to also build up very quickly the training missions, and of course this is extremely important. You cannot send just tanks without any training, and as we see, Poland already started the training.
Minister, what do you think about practical support to partner countries such as Georgia, Moldova, Bosnia-Herzegovina in these times?
At the moment, our focus should be in Ukraine, because Ukraine war will define how the security infrastructure, security environment here in Europe will look alike. That means also, of course, we see some concerning news coming from Moldova. Of course, this is very disturbing what we are hearing at the moment, so we need to clarify and collect some more information about that. But of course, all the partner states, they have to be also sure that if there is any need to help them, there is a help for them. But at the moment, as I said, there has to be a focus on Ukraine.
Minister, a few ministers before you were talking right here, they said that the fighter jets to Ukraine are necessary, but not right now, in the future, in the long term. So what do you think is the long term? What do you think would be the acceptable term for the fighter jets to get to Ukraine and to be sent?
Well, I believe that sooner we can send additional help to Ukraine, helps Ukraine sooner. So this is very simple, and obviously we see that is it already started or is it still a slow start from the Russian side? But they are preparing for the large-scale attack. So which means that Ukrainians have to be ready for that and have to be ready also to make counterattacks. So simple it is. As much as we can help the Ukraine, we have to do. Thank you very much.
Hjemlig drøftelse, nemlig forsvarsforliget derhjemme. Altså, nu skal I til at forhandle med 7 af Folketingets partier. Skal det forstås sådan, at et parti så til godt kan stemme nej til afskaffelsen af Store Bededag, men stadig godt være med i forsvarsforliget, hvor penge skal bruges?
Ja, det skal forstås på den måde, at vi nu lægger op til en drøftelse med Folketingets partier her senere på foråret. Og der siger vi så, at vi har vores budskab til finansiering, og det er jo Store Bededag, der udgør en væsentlig del af den finansiering. Men vi lytter jo også til, hvad de øvrige partier bringer med til bordet, og så må vi se på, om enderne kan mødes. Men man skal også forstå det på den måde, at det bliver nu en invitation, hvor man kan komme, uanset hvordan man så stemmer til Store Bededag.
Så det er ikke et krav, at man selv er med til at skaffe penge, så at sige, for at være med til at bruge penge i sidste ende.
Det er jo i hvert fald et krav, at man accepterer den finansiering, som ligger til grund for det kommende forsvarsforlig, der kommer. Og det må vi så drøfte, når vi når frem til stregen for finansiering. Hvordan det ender, det tror jeg er lidt tidligt at sige nu, men det er klart, det er jo ikke, det er jo ikke en gratis frokost, man bliver inviteret til. Man skal jo også bakke op med den finansiering, der ligger til grund, når vi skal lave så massiv investering i det danske forsvar.
Daar kunnen wij inderdaad van concreet iets betekenen. Ik kan er niet details van. En daar levert een bijdrage aan. Dat is denk ik heel wezenlijk. Nu ze inderdaad ook vorige week in Brussel en ook hier vandaag hebben aangegeven dat het cruciaal is. Dat ze niet te weinig beschikbaar hebben. Juist nu de gevechten in.
Ik zou toch een beetje proberen te leiden, niet in aantallen, maar om concreet werk. Er komt vandaag, kan Nederland echt een nieuwe toezegging doen? Dit kan nu niet.
We gaan vandaag een nieuwe toezegging doen, maar ik heb net ook al gezegd, kijk, het gaat er eigenlijk niet om dat dit zo'n probleem kan zijn. Het bijzondere aan dit traject is dat we naarmate de oorlog zich ontwikkelt en naarmate wij dus ook bijna een jaar ervaring de coördinatie doen. Ja, dat ging niet zeggen dat de organisatie worden bedacht. Gewoon in het algemeen en namelijk soms kan je best denken, nou dit is misschien heel goed als misschien bij nu ook kan misschien iemand en dan
Thank you.
Hey, ja, misschien. Dat is maar zien komen.
Here again, Ukraine will be very high in the agenda. We'll coordinate the way we continue supporting Ukraine because the war continues raging. Everybody will present their proposals, and I am sure that among all of us, we will continue providing a strong military support to Ukraine in order to face the aggression. This aggression is brutal. Today, the Russian attacks continues against any kind of civilian infrastructure with a lot of casualties. So unhappily, there is not sign that Russia wants to stop the war. So we have to continue supporting Ukraine, and we will do it all together. Let's see.
What threats do you see and consequences of the war for partner countries? And also would like to ask you about Moldova. President yesterday made a statement that Russia aims to overturn legitimate government.
We know how much Moldova is under the Russian pressure. We know, that Moldova will be hosting the political conference about the European political community. This will be a good occasion for everybody to show support to Moldova to face the Russian pressure, which is every day stronger. And just about Georgia and the situation in the Caucasus, the nation will also discuss about it today.
High Representative, Estonia's defense minister has called for joint procurement of ammunition at European Union level. What's your comment on that?
Well, with the European Peace Facility, we are providing funding for the member states to buy. In the past, the European Peace Facility already did procurements to provide non-lethal arms for countries with whom we have a partnership. I think that the European Peace Facility could perfectly mobilize its resources in a more common way. Now we work country by country. I don't see any inconvenience with the European Peace Facility, which is an intergovernmental fund. It's not European Union budget. You cannot buy lethal arms with European Union budget. That's clear. But the European Peace Facility is an intergovernmental fund, and this can be used on the way we consider more appropriate. I will present proposals to the Foreign Affairs Ministers on Monday. We'll have to wait till Monday. Thank you.
Bonjour tout le monde. Je suis très contente d'être ici encore une fois pour discuter la situation en Ukraine et l'aide militaire pour l'Ukraine. Le Canada a déjà livré plus de $1 milliard en aide militaire pour l'Ukraine et plus de $5 milliards pour aide économique, humanitaire et militaire pour l'Ukraine. C'est un temps très important et nous sommes ici pour l'Ukraine dans le court et le long terme. I'm so happy to be back here at NATO to discuss the very important situation of military aid for Ukraine. We have already, as a country, announced 4 tanks to be sent to Poland, and that has already occurred. Those tanks are in Poland, and we are now training Ukrainian soldiers on the use of those tanks. So I am very pleased to say that in a very short amount of time since we made the announcement of 4 tanks to go to Ukraine, despite the geographical distance that Canada has from Ukraine, we have sent those tanks. They are on the ground, and we have 25 Canadian Armed Forces members in Poland training Ukrainian Armed Forces members on the use of the Leopard 2A4 tanks. In terms of the objects that have been shot down in North America, we are continuing to search for the debris in central Yukon. We have deployed a number of aircraft to assist in that recovery effort. I want to indicate that the terrain is extremely rugged, it is extremely remote. The temperature is approximately minus 25 degrees Celsius there, and there is heavy snow. So the recovery effort is difficult, but as I said, we have a number of aircraft on the ground, in the air, and people on the ground. We have RCMP, we have FBI assistance, and we have obviously Canadian Armed Forces members that are assisting with this effort. Donc je pourrais recevoir vos questions aussi.
Minister, it's for months now that ministers and also generals say that Ukraine is running out of ammunition, and now it seems that the Ukraine Defense Contract Group is going to answer to that. Why always this late reaction to something that is actually foreseeable for quite a long time?
I don't characterize this as a late reaction. I actually think that the members of the Defense Contract Group have been very forthcoming with aid over the past year. This is our 9th meeting or so. We are continually here to discuss what additional aid we can provide, including in the area of munitions. But let's just take a look from a Canadian perspective. For example, what has been put on the table. We have had anti-tank weapon system, we have had M777s, munition for the M777s, a NASAMS defense system, 200 vehicles, 39 additional armored vehicles from GDLS in Canada, over 50 cameras for drones. This is just the country of Canada. If you think about the membership in the Defense Contract Group being over 50 countries and the continual aid that is being put on the table, we will continue to step up in any way we can. And I will say that the process of the Defense Contract Group, and we are about to engage in that process right now, is for all of the members to sit around the table and to identify areas of need for Ukraine. We hear directly from Minister Resnikov, of course, and then we try to step up with the aid that we each have. And that's why we're putting 4 tanks on the table, the Leopard 2A4 tanks, but we will continue to be there for Ukraine in the short and the long term.
You just mentioned the 4 Leopard 2 tanks from Canada. How disappointed are you that apparently European allies are not delivering their Leopard?
Well, it is important from a Canadian perspective to continually put on the table any aid we possibly have. And we wanted to be amongst the first countries. So as soon as Germany released the permission for us to send the tanks, we were right out the door to do that. And that's the approach that Canada has taken from the very beginning. Make sure we are doing whatever we can to support Ukraine with whatever aid we have that it needs. In terms of other countries, we do hope that the work we are doing will play a leadership role in inspiring other countries to follow suit, and that's exactly what we are seeing. I have met frequently with my German, with my Polish, with my Spanish and Portuguese counterparts, for example, and I know that each of us is working as hard as possible to put aid on the table.
Minister, when do you think
the tanks pledged by the allies and partners will reach Ukraine? Is there a timeline?
Well, let's make sure that we recognize the importance that Poland is playing in this process. When we met to discuss the sending of tanks, the Leopard 2A4 tanks in particular, we focused on the need for there to be a staging area where training could occur and where the spare parts and munitions would be located. Let's not forget the importance of the spare parts. These are tanks that could break down on the battlefield, and there needs to be a stable supply chain in place for replacement of parts that are broken down. And so the importance of the intermediary location in Poland is important for training. Canada having 25 trainers on the ground right now training Ukrainian teams on the use of these tanks is extremely important. And as soon as that process occurs, those tanks will be in use in Poland, in Ukraine.
Minister Allen, did you spoke about the object of the shutdown from Sky. Secretary General Stoltenberg says this may be part of a trend of increased surveillance. Are you going to be telling your European allies and counterparts to step up their own activities here when it comes to monitoring?
Well, let's first and foremost recognize the importance that NORAD plays. It was NORAD's first operation to shoot down that object over central Yukon on Saturday night. And NORAD actually occupies an important place on NATO's western flank. And so I want to stress the importance of our multilateral alliances first and foremost if that issue arises today and tomorrow. Secondly, in terms of patterns, I personally am reluctant to make a statement along those lines at this point. It is very early. We have not yet recovered the debris. We have not yet examined that wreckage. And I am a person that likes to deal in facts, and I will wait until the facts are presented to me from an analysis of that debris before making a statement relating to a pattern. I would also like to mention that there's intense collaboration regarding the analysis of the debris. We have the FBI involved, we have the RCMP involved, we have the Canadian Armed Forces involved, and several aircraft. And so this is a collaborative effort, and as we move through the process and retrieve the debris and undertake the analysis, we will have more to say. This is a topic that may arise today, but the topic as a whole will be what aid we can provide to Ukraine in the short and the long term, et aussi le Canada est là pour l'Ukraine dans le court et le long terme. Merci beaucoup.
Just det här formatet är det. Sen så samarbetar vi nära till exempel med Danmark också naturligtvis inom ramen för detta samarbete. Vi arbetar ibland också nära med de baltiska länderna 53. Så det finns olika konstellationer. Vi har ju också ordförandeskapet för Nordefco som vi hanterar just nu och tittar en del på samarbetsformerna kring detta. Och ibland har vi ju bilateralt, trilateralt och ibland har vi Nordefco, ibland har vi NATO, EU, norra gruppen och EFO. Och vi tittar också på hur man kan hitta bästa möjliga effektiva mötesformer som inte bara genererar fler möten utan också mera militära resurser. Så det ligger inom ramen för ordförandeskapet för Nordefco.
Tror du själv att Sverige är NATO-medlem, fullvärdig NATO-medlem vid toppmötet i Vilnius?
Jag vill inte låsa mig vid något exakt datum, men vi vill naturligtvis bli medlemmar så fort det går.
Sista frågan. Om det
jag har en fråga om fortsatt militärt stöd till Ukraina. Det pratas mycket om stridsflyg. Storbritannien ska utbilda ukrainska piloter. Finns det några sådana tankar att Sverige skulle kunna börja utbilda ukrainska piloter?
Vi har inga omedelbara planer på det eller på att skicka Gripen. Och det har i grunden att göra också med behoven för det nationella försvaret när det kommer till flygstridskrafter. De hanterar incidentberedskap och jobbar skarpt hela tiden. Jag kan konstatera att Ryssland på markstridssidan nu är kraftfullt försvagat. Och det är någonting vi väger in, men luftstridskrafterna och marinstridskrafterna i närmast är intakta. Så vi har inga omedelbara planer på detta.
Minister, may I ask you,
What is your position on fighter
if
jets?
all the coalition will decide to send fighter jets to Ukraine in the future, should Sweden join it and send also group ends? And also, can you evaluate previous support of Sweden to Ukraine?
Well, I start with the second question first, and we delivered so far 10 support packages, and the net value for that is about more than 1 billion euros. In addition, we also contributed to training missions in Interflex and EUMAM Ukraine, and we're also working with our procurement agency FMV to assist the Ukrainians in procuring industrial or defense industry products from the Swedish defense industrial base. In regards to the air defense and also fighter aircrafts, we have no principal red lines as such, but we have no immediate plans to send the Gripens to Ukraine due to the requirements at home. As I said previously, Russia's ground forces are right now severely weakened, but as far as it comes to air assets and when it comes to naval capabilities, they're pretty much intact, and therefore we need those Gripens for the defense of the territory, and hopefully also be able to provide it to the alliance once we join NATO.
Thank you so much. The meeting will start right now, so we need to go.
Okay.
Someone know that arrivals for this meeting should be finished.
Okay, Mark.
Dynamics are different here today.
And still, it does work a little bit. Yeah, we can have it once again, does it? Doorstep. Man.
The light is going to change the lyrics of the originals.
It must be challenging. Otherwise, it's boring, yeah?
Focusing, receiving sound.
Only the best can come out. Only the best. Yeah. Sorry, it's a town room. No. Stiff arm.
Ja, we gaan avoir géré la chose, comme général.